times women go nuts on paternity court.
I love my wife. I love this woman. I done wrong. I really love her though. Like, it's dudes that be like, I love you, I love you. I know I cheated. I really love her. Like,
go find your baby daddy. Put somebody else on child support. I want my money back. I want my money back. I told you I wasn't the father of that child. Knew it from the beginning.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to be with me?
If you actually sleeping with one of my cousins as of last month, and you talk about engagement.
Looking at this couple, you could tell they just weren't meant for each other. Mrs. Johnson dragged Mr. Johnson to court on the matter of him not being a good dad. Was Mr. Johnson having any of it? Hell no! Let's get this parenting drama on the road, shall we? Mr. and Mrs. Johnson have been at each other's throats for quite some time now. Having been married for up to 7 years, their marriage has crash-landed from a state of bad to worse. And the shocking thing here, it's all because of their 12-year-old kid. Trust me, it's crazy!
Now, Mr. Johnson, you admit that your marriage is at its breaking point, but you argue that it's because your wife undermines your authority and allows her 12-year-old son to disrespect you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mrs. Johnson went on and on about how Mr. Johnson wasn't threatening both of their kids. In her words, he had a favorite one.
He shows blatant favoritism. I'm angry. I just want my kids to feel equal. I want my oldest son to feel love.
When you say he shows favoritism,
you can bet Mr. Johnson wasn't just going to let her run her mouth. He comes in like a blazing inferno, telling her she's to be blamed. It's like a war zone in the courtroom.
For an example, I put my kids in baseball. He would participate in our son Ethan's, and he would never participate in Elijah's.
That's not true
That
at all.
photo right there was Elijah's birthday, and I took him to the go-karts, and he was supposed to meet us after work and didn't even show up.
As they kept trolling each other in the courtroom like it was another WWE wrestling match, mind-blowing revelations started to pop out. Believe me, these revelations will leave your jaws dropping from your mouth.
My son, we took like a safari ride, and he said, oh, well, me and Ethan will ride on this one, and you and Elijah can ride on that. And it just hurts my son's feelings because he never shows that extra step to where...
She doesn't enforce me as a father figure. I'm the father that's there.
Because he's been in his life since he was 2 years old, and he should take that extra step on his own.
After Mrs. Johnson was done throwing shades at her husband in the courtroom, it was Mr. Johnson's turn to spill the beans. And my God, did he have a lot to say about Mrs. Johnson and their 12-year-old boy. It was like a love series that was unending.
Elijah's disrespectful to me, to her,
but he's disrespectful
to everyone.
The rants go on, and Mr. Johnson keeps pouring out his mind like a wounded lion. Does it end there? Of course not. Mrs. Johnson, filled with rage, jumps into the ring again and starts throwing shots at her husband. She even calls him a kid! These two can't wait to rip each other apart in the courtroom.
He disrespects everybody. He disrespects his brother. He disrespects me, his mother. He talks back. When me and him were left alone, with me, him, and my other son, and they're fighting for about 2 hours straight, nonstop. She comes home, I tell her what happened, I tell her that they're not listening, and instead of disciplining the kids, she fights with me.
He's the one acting like he's 12 too.
Mrs. Johnson's dad walks up to the stage and drops bombs on bombs, countering every single word Mr. Johnson says. It was almost like her dad was her husband's biggest oppie.
I see Elijah being left out on a lot of things. Ice cream, you ask Ethan to pick up your room. It's like, would you pick up your room? What's wrong with you? Why
aren't we here for the way you talk to Ethan?
You know, talk to him like a human being, not like an animal that did something wrong.
Man just stood there, throwing heavy blows at Mr. Johnson. It was a tug of war, and nobody wanted to be beaten. Knowing Mr. Johnson, you could bet he was ready for his comeback. As soon as Mrs. Johnson's dad was done talking, boom! He came with his comebacks that hit like bullets shot by a firing squad.
Wait. Doesn't that go for both?
Grandfather.
Doesn't that go for both kids, though? Wouldn't that go for both children, not just Elijah? Like what Ethan, my son, he does the same thing. He babies Elijah. Oh, it'll be okay.
You shouldn't yell at Ethan
it'll
either
be
like
okay.
that.
You yell at him. Your daughter will admit it.
So now you're saying...
The moment of truth was finally here. But the air was thick with uncertainty as to whether their marriage was going to be saved or shattered for good. Time to see what the future holds for them. I hope you guys are ready.
Is it safe to say that we're going to work on this marriage?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. So we won't be needing this, right?
Right.
Fantastic. Court is adjourned.
Trust me, you and I both know we never want to be in his shoes. After having so much suspicion, feeling like he was being lied to, having some doubts that he wasn't the dad of their little girl, he dragged his girl's ass to court to find out the truth. Hold on to your seats, folks. We're about to have some real child battle drama.
Rights as a potential father to the child in question today, 2-year-old Angel Bryant, were basically stolen from you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now jumping right into the love triangle, or should I say, the triangle of heartbreaks. It all started on New Year's night. Sounds romantic, right? I bet your jaws are about to drop soon. Mr. Green met Miss Duncan that sweet evening, and as the gentleman that he is, took her to his house for some coffee. And I would say, have a good time if you know what I mean.
How did I meet her? Well, it was New Year's night. She was out, I was out, of course. I saw her staggering a little bit, walking home alone from the club. I took her home, and then we just talked for a little bit, exchanged numbers.
I can't be the only one who thought something fishy was gonna happen, or was I? Well, after getting all mushy with Miss Duncan, he thought he had met the love of his life. The bombshell is about to drop. She had another secret guy who she also happened to be having a good time with. Ooh. Miss Duncan would for sure win the award for being a sleek lady.
He knew I was talking to someone, but I told him we broke up, but I was still talking to him.
All right, so you basically lied and told him you weren't talking to the guy anymore, but you were.
Yes.
Going forward in their love drama, Miss Duncan found out she was pregnant. I sure think that's too quick. Getting pregnant just a few months after she meets Mr. Green? Come on, that's just all shades of suspicious. Of course, Mr. Green got the first call, and the mind-blowing thing is that he wasn't excited about the news. He was trying to add the math, and all his brain could tell him was, how's this possible?
Your Honor, I figured that if I'm supposed to be the child's father, I would have been there at the time of birth, and also my name would be on the birth certificate, Your Honor.
As the tales of deceit keep unfolding, the truth starts to come to the surface. And trust me when I tell you, there's so much more. After having her baby, she comes out with a new story 7 months after birth and tells Mr. Green that he might not be the father of the kid. Ouch. That's for sure going to leave a mark on his heart.
It was like 6 or 7 months down the road after doing her pregnancy. Then she told me, she said, well, the baby may not be yours.
I was surprised this didn't turn into punching spray. Mr. Green came home with Miss Duncan and their little girl and met a guy waiting for them in the house. Let the drums roll in. The guy waiting for them was the other guy, who was also having a good time with Miss Duncan. Ding, ding, ding! Now that's wild!
I don't know if it was a birthday or Mother's Day. Okay, I took her home, and he was outside waiting for her, and that kind of hurt. And he said, I come to see my daughter, my daughter. I said, that's your daughter, that's my daughter.
If you think that's all the juice in this story, hold on to your seats because I'm about to blow your mind. Another epic heartbreak from Mr. Green. She says she wasn't sure who had the kid, so she played both of them, hoping one of them would come true. Speechless is how I feel right now.
The other guy was around all the way through my pregnancy.
Really?
Yes.
Was he at the birth too?
Yes.
So after he didn't answer, then you called the other guy?
Yes.
I guess it's high time we brought this paternity war zone to a close. Will it be all nice, Mr. Green, who gets to go home saying I'm the dad? Or would it be the other guy who was in the shadows having a good time with Miss Duncan? The answer to that question sits like a princess in the envelope. Let the truth be told.
Mr. Ronald Green, you are not her father.
Mr. Jones and Miss Dolis have to be the funniest couple on the paternity court show. Their love story bounces from cheating to lying to deceiving. You just name it. From one charade to the next, these two find themselves in court, dragging each other for who is the better parent. Buckle up, people. You're about to be dumbfounded by this couple's drama.
Ms. Douglas, you are suing the father of your 5 children for a paternity test. Mr. Jones doesn't treat your daughter Cheyenne as his own, and that he has always been suspicious that he's not her biological father.
Getting down into the bits of this drama, right from the beginning of the case, Miss Dolis admitted to cheating on Mr. Jones. She apparently slept with his cousin. Now that's all shades of crazy if you ask me. Here's the shocking thing. Mr. Jones was no saint. He was also cheating on her with her own cousin and one of his baby mamas. I would have lost my mind if I were the judge, honestly.
Yes, Your Honor, I do, because I did make a mistake. I slept with his cousin, and the condom had broke. But before that, Tyrone was downstairs sleeping with my cousin. He was still having sex with his baby's mom.
Just like in the movies, Mr. Jones and Mrs. Douglas met at a party. Things got pretty freaky and interesting after that, and they ended up getting pretty intimate. Well, I saw that coming. Prepare to be wowed! After her cozy night with Mr. Jones, she met his cousin and voila, she went down on him too. How does that even happen?
I met Tyrone actually at a party that happened downstairs in my building. I met him and his cousin almost the same night. Me and Tyrone got together the first night we watched movies. But we weren't together, we just had sex, and after that he went back to his other baby's mom.
Things were starting to get heated up in the courtroom, with both of them staring into each other's eyes like it was about to be a bloodbath. Boom! Miss Dolis gets pregnant. Ring, ring, ring. She hits up and tells Mr. Jones that it's his baby. Things seem pretty nice, right? Well, let's burst some bubbles.
What did you feel, Mr. Jones, when you heard I'm pregnant and it's yours?
I wasn't too sure about it when she told me, but I'm like, okay, when she did tell me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna step up and do what I gotta do.
She finally decides to open up 2 damn years later, telling Mr. Jones that she had a thing with his cousin. You could see the rage in his eyes, wondering where and how it all went down. Just like that, good baby daddy starts to play the role of I'm not sure this is my kid. I did tell you things were going to escalate.
After my daughter was 2, I ended up telling him the truth.
So you go in and you smell, you know the cologne, your cousin, you say, okay, I know my cousin was here, but she denied everything. How long did it take you to tell the truth?
After my daughter was 2 years old.
Slowly, all hell starts to break loose. Miss Dolis spills the beans about Mr. Jones, telling the court how he wasn't there for her daughter and that he was taking care of his other kids with his baby mama. Yep, you had that right. Other kids. It's already a whole mess at this point. Everyone's asking, who's really telling the truth?
When the baby was 2, he went to Chicago with his other's baby mama. We were together then, and I'm pregnant with his son. How I knew he was in Chicago with his baby mama was she texted my phone like, oh, you're looking for your man? He's with me. You wonder why he's not calling your daughter? Because he's with me.
Emotions are flying here and there. Hold your seats for another bombshell, people. Trust me, your ears aren't ready for this. These couple have had other kids before their daughter, and they aren't even married. Are these 2 a baby factory, or what's going on with them?
You all 5 children potentially together. Was your relationship ever committed? Was it ever an important thing to either one of you?
It's clear that these 2 had no trust for each other. Even after having more than 1 child together, they can't seem to bring themselves to trust each other. Why would they? I mean, after getting intimate with each other's cousins? That's beyond a far stretch.
7 months ago, he's still talking to women. I don't never talk to anybody first. After I find out he cheats on me, that's when I do it. But I really do want to be with him, and I want to make a family for my 5 kids.
Everything went from a peaceful conversation to a bloodbath, with the couples throwing tantrums about who got intimate with whom and who couldn't be a good parent. Well, the moment of truth is finally here. Every single eye is placed on the judge as she's about to reveal the final verdict. Hold your breath.
Mr. Jones, you are not fired.
The doubts start to troll in, and all hell starts to break loose. This frantic dad wants answers to the paternity puzzle that's been digging holes in his mind. Is he going to get the answers he's looking for? Well, let's find out, shall we? It's about to be another bumpy ride of baby daddy drama.
Picket, you claim that when your son turned 3, the defendant, your wife, admitted to you that you may not be his biological father, seeking a definitive answer today with hopes that your son is biologically.
Now, Mr. Picket and Miss Picket sure do look like the cute couples we expect them to be, but hold up. There's more to see than meets the eye. These 2 have been caught up in so much baby drama. Guess what, people? They're even separated. Must have been one hell of a ride for these 2.
during that vacation, you know, we had separated. So when I get back from the vacation, I go to like different houses that she's at, and periodically I see this same dude at the different houses.
Don't forget, these two have been separated for a while. Mr. Picket takes a vacation for work purposes, at least so he claims. He gets back from his vacation and pays a visit to Miss Picket to check on their son. That's when things start to get a little tricky. Trust me, you aren't ready for the mystery that's about to unfold.
At the house with your mom, and my son, he's like 5 years old. He says, I think that's my mom's boyfriend. I'm like, for real? So I ask her, she denies it. Now, I hate these extended vacations, Your Honor. I took another one.
Mr. Picket, with the Mr. Innocent role, continues to explain his side of the story, and for some reason it just doesn't make any sense. It's so confusing, Judge Lauren tells him to back it up. The things that popped out of his mouth were totally mind-blowing.
I say, let's mend it together. We cool. You're my friend. You're my lover. You're my wife. These are our kids. We already did this. I done wrong, you done wrong. Infidelity is all around the world, so we're not upset about that.
After being apart for God knows how long, they decide to give it another try and get back together. Yep, we all know where that's leading. Of course, things seem to be okay at first, but soon after, it all turns into wildfire. Things spiral out of control, and trust me when I tell you, it's worse than you can imagine.
Okay, so everything's good. We're back together. Now, in the back of my mind, I wish I could blow this little thought out.
So you're back together?
We back. It's cool. So I ask her. She denies. I ask her, she denies.
What do you ask her?
I'm asking her, is these my kids?
The little mysteries start to find their way out of the little corners, and things start to take an unexpected turn. Mr. Picket finds out that his wife was getting intimate with another guy just before his kid was born. Oops! Things are about to get real juicy, guys. I can bet on it.
Just based on what I told him, yes, he does have a reason, but I did wait 3 years later to tell him, but I let him know before he got back from
the extended vacation.
This guy had to be the most dramatic man to ever walk the planet Earth. At every single junction of his narration, there was always a hilarious reaction from him. Even Judge Lauren couldn't hide her amusement. Now hold up! All that laughter was about to turn into a real hot mess.
After all this time, this is my
That's how you did it?
I did just like this. And I was in short pants, because we were supposed to go swimming, and I just lost the whole swimming mode. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And then I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Whoa. And then that was like, I walked outside.
Now, Miss Picket wasn't having her best day in court, trust me. You could read it off her face that she couldn't wait for the ground to open up and just swallow her. But come on, she cheated. I mean, it's only right that she felt that way. But is Mr. Picket in a forgiving mood? I strongly doubt that.
That's why I stopped the man, and I told him this is not right, and this is not right.
Miss Picket, the fact that you waited 3 years to tell him, that is a lot.
Well, the suspense is finally over, and the hassle of who the dad of their child is about to be revealed. It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Picket and Miss Picket. All eyes on the judge as she unleashes the truth. Get ready, paternity folks!
Mr. Picket, you are his father.
Oh, yeah. Look, I got something for you. Hold on.
Now, this is going to be one epic paternity showdown. I mean, cheating on your boyfriend with your ex-boyfriend is one thing, but cheating on your boyfriend with your ex-boyfriend and getting pregnant? She's very lucky to be alive. Let's dive into the juicy parts of the heartbreaking love saga, shall we?
You say that a few years back, you were suddenly called away on family business. You claim the defendant, Ms. Monroe, invited her former lover to move into your family home.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
You think we've seen it all? Trust me, I'm quite sure you've never seen something like this before. This screams all shades of crazy in this relationship. Mr. Matlock took a vacation, leaving his girlfriend back in the house. Now prepare yourselves because this will blow your mind.
Back in 2006, when me and Miss Monroe first got together, she knew I was back and forth from Fort Smith to Fayetteville because I have a son down in that area. Back in 07, I was down there for a week.
No, you said
it was a week.
You were going to be gone a weekend and you were gone a month.
A week. You're
you
lying.
Were gone a
it was a week.
Now, while he was away, Miss Monroe, his girlfriend moved her ex into his house. Yup, you heard that right. She moved her ex-boyfriend into her boyfriend's house. Crazy, right? There's more! She didn't act like she cared or she was sorry about it. I can tell you're screaming right now.
Told me he was gonna be gone for a weekend. So after the weekend, of course, being a girlfriend, you're gonna care about somebody's well-being, wonder where they are if they're not calling you. So of course, yes, I did call him. And then he never answered my calls. And this went on for a whole month.
To make the situation even messier, she didn't just move her ex into the house, she was also sleeping with him. I gotta tell you, she has some nerve doing stuff like that. Mr. Matlock comes back from his vacation and things fly out of the roof.
We talked on the phone
Because I
about
wanted
the
you,
situation.
I didn't want him.
I had feeling for her. I've been knowing her since we was young, since 12, 13. So we worked out the whole situation. We talked about it, we worked it out. I eventually moved back in the house, picking up a sexual relationship with her again.
The heavy bomb is about to drop into the mix. Now, after forgiving her and settling their differences, they go on to be lovebirds once again. Is this gonna last? Hell no! Mr. Matlock finds out she's pregnant from his sister. Boom! That's right, she didn't tell him, she told his sister. She really has some real nerve.
Right.
She
And
looked
what did
at
she
me
say?
and
I
said,
was honest.
"You're not the father." That's what she said, "You are not the father." So I'm not taking care of somebody else's baby, and you tell me that that baby is not my baby.
So once you heard that,
Now the heart-crushing revelation doesn't just stop there. He asks her who the father of the child is, and she tells him point blank that he isn't the dad. Hold up, I'm not the dad? It felt like all the air in the room disappeared and was replaced with anger. Mr. Matlock was definitely not going to stick around to raise a kid that wasn't his.
Once you say you are not the father to a man, that baby ain't mine no more. I didn't hear from her.
They kept arguing, going back and forth about how they weren't there for each other. It was nothing short of insane in that courtroom. You could tell that these two weren't so certain they wanted to be together anymore.
I was back in town taking care of my son, doing what a father's supposed to be. And if you would have been
but
real
you
about
wouldn't
it,
take care of her?
if you would have been real
What you
about it
done for her?
in the beginning, I would have been there for you.
There's no going back now. After paying for child support, he wants to know if all that money was not wasted on the wrong kid. Will it be a double dose of daddy drama? Or will the clouds of uncertainty finally clear? The key to the truth was in the envelope. Here goes nothing. Truth was in.
Mr. Matlock, the wait is over. You are not.
I knew it! I knew it! Don't